you got it, and then when we're done here, we'll download it and send it to Mariah and have her put it up on the YouTube channel. So I can share this afterwards for people that didn't make it here. So you let us know, Mike, when you want to get started.
Well, there's a few of us here. Let's wait another minute, see if somebody else joins.
Not a problem.
At the state, we tend to do back-to-back meetings with no break in between.
Okay.
So
sometimes
people need a minute.
We're going to take it easy on you. So we're not going to do any PowerPoint or we're going to keep this very non-salesy. What we'll do is I'll just kind of introduce everybody. I'll tell you what we're going to show, and then I'll just have Rich show it. So I'll kind of set the table just real quickly. And we'll just go from there. Well, Mike, let's just go ahead and get started. So, like I said, we're recording this. We'll send out a recording. We'll send out a YouTube link afterwards. I find that much more. It's much more efficient in sharing. For those of you who don't know, my name's Ellis Jones. I work for Intellective. We're an IBM partner. We've been working with Michael and his team. I know some of you. With me today, I got Rich Levins. He's my senior architect. Along with me, I have another architect, Dan McCoy. He's kind of just learning, so he's going to sit in the background. And why I set this up with Michael was you guys have not seen or Michael has seen our product Unity years ago with David Lewis. And a lot of things have happened over the years. So what we want to do is introduce you to a product that we have that's called Unity. It's a platform. So Rich is at first going to show you our Unity UI and what we use this for. And we're at first, this is our where the product began. And what we use this for is with customers that are unhappy with the user experience within, say, a single ECM, but more importantly, multiple ECMs. So we have the ability to put Unity over multiple instances and be able to do a lot of different things with it. So, and not just interacting with content, but interacting also with workflow. A natural progression of that was we had customers that said, that's great, but you know something, I have line of business applications that I have people using, and I really don't want them to leave. They're in Salesforce, let's leave them in Salesforce. If their main place is like Dynamic CRM, let's leave them there. And then we have other applications that we've extended it to. So what I'm going to have Rich do is we're going to start with Unity and kind of build the foundation, and then we're going to show you Unity for Salesforce. It's the one that's the most relatable. So I'm going to turn it over to Rich. Before I do that, though, go ahead and ask questions. I want to keep this informal. If we think it's going to sideline us, what we'll do is we'll just hold it for the end. This is about 20-25 minutes worth of material, and then we can pop out and talk about any questions you might have. But feel free to ask quick questions as they pop up. All right. With that, Rich, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Sure. Let me share my screen. Okay, does everyone see my screen?
Yep, just rendered.
All right, so here I am. I'm in the Unity web application, and basically what Ellis indicated was Unity goes over the top of multiple content repositories. So I understand you use FileNet, but you might also use SharePoint. You may even use other content repositories. And one of the challenges a lot of customers tell us is like, well, you know, we have people, we have to swivel chair between, you know, finding the documents in different places. You know, if it's in FileNet, we got to go to FileNet. If it's SharePoint, we got to go to SharePoint. What Unity does is it gives you the ability to put Unity over the top of all your content repositories and execute searches and then find the document. So the end user isn't really burdened with knowing where the document is. So, and I can filter this down too. So if I only care about FileNet, I can search on just FileNet. But here, I can execute a search for finance. Fire the search off, and then it's going to return to me a list of documents. So you see here, it's found documents in the FileNet repository. it's found documents in the SharePoint repository, and I can open and access these documents. And so I can come in here and say I want to preview the document, and this will open in the IBM FoundNet Deja viewer, and then I can basically view the document directly from Unity. So one of the key capabilities is to be able to search across multiple repositories. I can do the same from SharePoint, so I can come over here. I can open up my SharePoint document. Again, the end user didn't need to know, do I have to search in FileNet or SharePoint? They just went in and basically found the document and opened the document. So the other, so a lot of capabilities. Now, if I only want to search on FileNet, I can have search templates that feature just FileNet, and you see my repositories change. And now I'm just looking at my FileNet content. Same with SharePoint. If I want to focus just on one instance of SharePoint, I can do the same. So you can define these search templates, and then you can secure those search templates via your Active Directory. So you can say, I want to give finance the ability to search for finance. I want to give HR the ability to search for HR documents, and you can configure these search templates and then give them access. Before I move forward, any questions so far?
This is Michael. I'm assuming that there's a certain amount of taxonomy work that needs to be done here in order to ensure that you have common metadata across your multiple content platforms. Is that true?
That's a great question. So Unity provides the ability to search on common fields, even if you don't have the metadata. So my searches I performed, if I go back here, go back to my enterprise search, and basically type in finance. This is doing what I call a Google-like search. It's searching for the word finance anywhere in the document title or in the full text of the content, It could also search metadata properties as well. So if you didn't do that work, if you didn't, like a lot of cases in SharePoint, people don't index the documents, right? They just drag and drop them into a site or a folder, and it becomes that final scene in the original Raiders of the Lost Ark, where someone takes the Ark and puts it into the warehouse, and then it's lost forever because nobody can find it because it wasn't indexed. But with Unity, you can basically search on the, even if you don't have the metadata, you can still find the document by the, if the search criteria falls anywhere in the title or the full text of the document. And that's across all the repositories. Now, it does have an Unmanned Search template that you can define custom properties for. So I think here in the SharePoint one, they've defined custom properties on SharePoint. And if I come over here, I can see, yeah, so I have custom fields for doc type and organization. So you can define the custom properties. Most of FileNet stuff we find will have custom properties. SharePoint will probably lack it, but it doesn't have to.
Thank you.
Anything else on that? Okay. So let's come back here, back to my enterprise search. So as I said, I can search on finance, but I can also come in here and I can open up my, so sometimes also in SharePoint, when you're doing searches, it finds too many documents because you know what, I want to find the word finance, but I don't want to search full text. I just want to search the title. So with Unity, you can basically create refined searches. So here, if I just want to search for finance in the title, I can execute that. And then I can filter this down. So here it showed me FileNet and SharePoint documents. But if I only care about FileNet, I can just click on the FileNet node. And now my search is basically restricted to only to FileNet. So it allows you to basically define these searches and then use the tree view if you want to navigate to a specific repository, if that's what you're going for. The other thing you can do is you can further refine it. So if I want to come in here and say, you know what, I only care about PDFs, in finance, I can execute that search and it'll only return me the PDFs as well. So, and I can add the other, created by, modified, give it a date range, use any custom metadata properties that may be defined in FileNet or SharePoint via the search templates. And you can take a number of actions on these documents. So you can, as you said, preview it, you can copy the link, you can download it. If you have access, and this is based on your security access to the ECM, if you have access, you can delete it or rename it. You can move it to different folders. Like in FileNet, you can check out the document, modify and check it in. And you can look at the details of the document. And the details will show you the index properties. It will allow you to download right from here, view it right from here, look at the versions. If there's multiple versions of this, you would see all the versions of the document from here as well. And you can check it out as well. Any other things that I could show you? The other thing you could do is you can save searches. So if I want to come in here, if I know I'm executing the search all the time. So let's say I entered title, PDF, the file type, the date modified, date range, and I did this complicated search. And then I want to say, you know what? I don't want to always have to enter that. So I can say save as, and I can call it my finance PDF search and save it. And then if I reset it, I can come back over here and it would show me where it basically would show me the search and allow me to basically execute the search on that. The other things it can do is analytics. So it has content analytics here. It can show you based on repository where things are at. So if I have, my FileNet, if I want to focus just on FileNet, I can click on FileNet and it's going to update all these other controls. Again, if I only care about PDF files, I can click on that as well. And what this is doing is it's doing actual analytics where it's basically executing searches. And then from here, I can basically return the search. I can also apply search criteria as well. Come over here. I can see there the FileNet documents, and I can execute this and I can view the documents right from here. And what this can do is it can give you interesting information. So if I come over here and I basically put in a, let's say, claim, it can show you peaks and valleys when you're receiving a lot of the documents. So you can see here in my FileNet repository, I'm getting a peak where I'm getting a bunch of claim documents between July and September. And then it's kind of steady all other months. So you can use these analytics to basically say, well, I have to put resources against that because I can tell when I'm getting documents in through the analytics. Any questions about that? Nope. Okay. Do you have any other questions before I move on to my Salesforce demo? No? Okay.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, I'll go now and show you this from Salesforce. So here I am in Salesforce, and what we've done is we've exposed the Unity components directly into Salesforce. So you can be on any tab in any app or any tab in Salesforce. Here I am in an insurance application. I'm on an accounts tab, and what this does is it links the account properties to your metadata to return the document. So if I look at the details here, it's basically querying on information that's for P&J construction from my repositories, and I click on here, it's returning documents, and then I can basically open and process the documents from here. So I can come in here and I can say view, and then I can open and access the documents directly from Salesforce. I can take other actions, just like I can look at the properties of the document. I can modify the properties. I can download it. I can add new documents directly from here, and that will basically link the document directly to the Salesforce entity. So full content management. Again, you could apply this to anything. It doesn't have to be accounts. It could be contacts. It could be any tab in Salesforce. And again, what it's doing is it's taking the metadata from Salesforce, calling Unity to query the content repositories, and then returning the documents across those repositories. And again, it's not limited to just FileNet. It could search FileNet and SharePoint and pull back both those documents in a single search. End user doesn't need to know how to do it. Also, it has access to FileNet cases. So here I am, and I can look at, if you're using FileNet case management or BAW, you can look at your cases related to your Salesforce entity directly from here as well. So here I'm basically can look at my cases. I can click on one of these cases, so I can basically look at the properties of the case. If there are documents, I can look at the documents associated with the case. I can also look at my workflow in baskets. So I can come in here and I can look at in baskets, and I can not just look at the in baskets, but I can actually process it as well. So if I come over here and I say properties for this work item, you'll see here that I can see the details, the documents, and I can take the actions. So if I can, right from here, I can request information, decline. So these are the actions defined in the FileNet workflow. So I can take the actions directly from here. Any questions about that? Do you use FileNet workflows at all? The case management stuff?
We do, but it's the version, it's pre-Lombardi BPM is how I've been told by IBM to sort of talk about it, but it's pre-Case Manager. We own Case Manager, have not installed it, so we're using the workflow that predates Case Manager.
Okay, I believe this stuff would work with that version as well. I don't think it's limited to it's definitely not limited to BAW. But yeah, if you're just using workflows, then you probably wouldn't use the cases tab, but you could still use the in baskets and process your work items. If you have work items associated with your Salesforce entities, you can access them directly from here. Again, you don't have to swivel chair. You don't have to leave Salesforce to go to your workflow, to FileNet, to work a case, come back to Salesforce and update something. You can do it all directly from here.
What kind of metrics are associated with that? Can I get workflow metrics through this interface, or do I have to do that through the other Unity side?
Yep, that's a good question. So we have these metrics here for your case management stuff. We have not yet exposed them to Salesforce. So you can see your just like you can see contract metrics, you can see your workflow in basket metrics, how much work I have and stuff directly from the Unity app. But we have not exposed the metrics into the Salesforce Lightning app as well. Are you using Salesforce Lightning?
I don't know. We're on the sort of very edge of a Salesforce project. It's being run by a vendor, and we're not terribly involved. I think it's Lightning,
okay,
but I don't know for certain. I don't know Salesforce, so
that's fine. These days almost everything is on Lightning. There are a few classic Salesforce apps out there, but most of the stuff is Lightning these days.
Okay.
So is there anything else that let me ask this question. Are there any challenges that you're having at your organization around content or process that you've seen here that may basically work in your organization?
Well, yes, there is. I mean, in conversation with Rowit and Max, and they're helping us with our upgrade project, but we were just talking about some of our other challenges, and that's when they mentioned Unity, and I had seen it a long time ago, and it was something that piqued my curiosity, at least, is one of our challenges right now is metrics around workflow. Again, we're using an older version of workflow. It has no out of the box stuff. Lance can certainly talk to this more because he's the guy that's been on the hook to try to build metrics around all of that stuff, and it's been somewhat challenging. And so I'd be curious to sort of spend a little more time with that as far as, what that might do for us, how it works, how will we deploy it, that sort of thing.
So I would have to talk to Max and Rohit about the version, but I don't think it really matters. I think what we're doing is just like with FileNet and SharePoint, we're crawling the FileNet workflow queues to get the metrics out of it, and we're putting it into our index. And once we do that, we can create these controls. So you can see, you can basically visualize your current workload, your history. You can click on controls and you can basically dynamically update them. So as you click on things, other controls can open up. You can look at your workflow queues. You can see things in different states of that, and you can take actions on them directly from here. So this would show you a list based on what you drilled into, it would show you a list of work items for that item. And then you can click on and say, I want to process that work item. And then you can basically, so you can use this not just to visualize your current workload and your history on how quickly it's taking you to process things, but you can actually work items here as well. So if you see, like, for example, if you give it access to certain managers, the managers could basically start actioning work items directly from this user interface. They don't have to look at this just as a report, a static report, and say, oh, okay, now I got to go to FileNet to do things. You can do it directly from here. Does that make sense?
Yep, sorry, I was on mute. And that's dynamic based on the configuration of the workflow itself. So if I build a new in basket, you're going to see it automatically.
Automatically. Yeah, you don't have to change. You don't have to change anything with the configuration. It will discover new work baskets. It'll discover new work items in those baskets. It will stay up to date as you process those items. And again, you can take actions directly from this UI. I could, I don't have it available right now, but I can see about giving you a specific demo around process for those items.
Okay, good to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there other challenges besides the visualization of the workflow? No? Okay. And would those workflows that you're talking about, would users, would those link to things that you're doing in Salesforce, or are they totally separate? The workflows have nothing to do with Salesforce.
Currently, they're completely autonomous of one another. That may change with this project that they're working on right now. It's a proof of concept around Salesforce for an area that does use FileNet a lot and uses FileNet workflow for some things. Right now, those things are being kind of kept separate. And from a Salesforce perspective, FileNet's really just a content repository, but they want it to be the system of truth. And so they want to make sure that any documents that are acquired through or created by Salesforce automatically make it into FileNet, so that ultimately they want us to deploy IBM enterprise records and do some records management work on that single body of work, that single repository of their documents.
Sure. So you can, as I said, if you're in, if I come back here to documents, if you're in documents and you're working on a case or an account, you can add your documents here. You can have different entry templates. Like here, I can add a claim document or a policy document. If I click on this, it'll basically open up and it will basically allow me to drag and drop or upload files directly from here. It will grab properties that you want to index the document by from Salesforce. So for example, if I want to index this document by the account number, I don't have to enter the account number. It knows I'm on the account page. It knows which account number because I'm on P&J Construction. So it'll automatically grab that property. Now it can grab multiple properties. The demo is just showing one, but it can also allow you to enter other values. And then when you add it, you'll go directly into your FileNet repository and come back right here so you can search and link to it. So the other thing is the search templates are here as well. So this is showing me documents for P&J Construction. But if I want to like filter this down, and say, I just want to see, I have documents that have crash in it. I just want to look at those. I can basically filter that. I can filter the list of documents. So if you have entities in Salesforce that have hundreds of documents, you don't have to page through every one. You can use these search templates to filter on it.
Which is cool.
Yeah. So you can add the documents. You can, I think I showed this. Yep, you can look at all the properties. Now, these are the properties of how the document was indexed in FileNet. So when I uploaded a document, now those documents don't have to come in from Salesforce. They can come in from another measure, another capture process outside of Salesforce. But as long as it's grabbing this account number, it knows how to link it to your Salesforce component and display it. An account number is just an example. It could be, totally different, a case ID, a member ID, whatever. And then again, if I have authorization in FileNet, I can change these properties. I can look at the different versions of the documents. I can take actions on them. So, yep, a whole bunch of stuff I can do directly from here. And whatever actions you have in FileNet. So if you have the ability to check out, check in, delete, download, you see those actions that appear here. Is there any other things that you're currently working on that you have challenges with, that you see that this technology may be able to help you?
Anybody else on our team have thoughts there?
I have a question, Mike. I've seen this in other I've seen this at municipal levels. I've seen it at county levels, and I've actually seen it at state levels in other parts of the country. How prevalent are network share drives and trying to replace them with SharePoint happening at the state of Minnesota?
Oh, it's very prevalent.
Yeah.
Several of the active projects we're working on right now are really efforts to replace a shared drive as a repository for documents, and from that perspective, it also is, in many cases they're using SharePoint as a poor man's workflow engine, only by very nature of our shared drives, excuse me. It's true with SharePoint though as well, through foldering. I'm going to drop this in Bob's folder, so he knows he needs to work it, and Bob then knows he needs to drop it in Dale's folder, and then Dale into Mary's, and so on and so forth. And we see a lot of that, and we've replaced several applications that are doing just that very thing.
So I have one of the use cases I had with a county out in California was they were trying to kill. Well, actually, what they wanted to do is transition employees off of the network share drive and get people to start using SharePoint. So what they were asking us to do is, can we take Unity and put it over to network share drive and SharePoint? And the answer was yes. But what we told them they had to do, because there's some limitations on the updating of documents, is basically they took their network share drive and they just locked them. You could still search them, you could still find things, but you weren't going to interact with new documents there. So it became a true archive. And then we started having people start using SharePoint. So they were able to use Unity to search historical documents in the network share drive, and then start using SharePoint. And then there was a plan for then moving. Their problem is before they moved it, they needed to categorize everything, which honestly it wasn't going to happen because the network share drive was just too wild and trying to clean it all up and move it over to SharePoint. So their plan was, we're going to leave it the way it is as an archive. You can use our feature to do to crawl the repository and search it. So they could just do a keyword search and start bringing up documents historically. It's something that I have had in the back of my mind that might be of use within government, because we tend to find all government agencies have network share drives that are just out of control.
Yeah, I mean, one of the groups that we've been working with, the problem is the shared drive they only get so much capacity, and they overrun that capacity, and so they have to delete things prior to what would be their normal disposition. And so they have a compliance challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we see it all the time.
Okay.
So there may be some advantage there. I'm guessing that Unity really wouldn't be used to move documents from a shared drive to FileNet, for instance. That would be
Interchange. We have a tool set we use called Interchange. It allows us it was built for migrations.
Yep.
But like I said, the biggest issue with network share drives is the work that a customer has to do to categorize how they want stuff moved if it hasn't been If it hasn't been curated correctly. In other words, if they've just let departments just do whatever the heck they want, and people are, things are all over the place, and you got multiples of the same thing, or you got to get down to what's the version you want to keep, that can be a lot of work. But we have internal tools that we use on migration projects just for that.
And the other thing that tool allows you to do is, like, let's say you were pulling documents out of a shared drive that was an account folder, and that had the account name or the account number. It could do a lookup and get additional index properties of the account. The account name, the account type, the inception date of the account, and they can use that to automatically update your content repository with it. So it does what we call transformation, where it can go out, if it has just one property, it can go out and get more properties and use that to index the document. So it improves your ability to search and find it in the repository where you're storing it.
I'm sorry, you had a question, Mike?
Well, I'm just wondering if that, I don't remember what interchange, is that what you called it?
Yes.
Whether that the source documents could be in SharePoint with that product, SharePoint to FileNet migration.
Yep. Yes, it can.
Okay. Because we've been looking at least one business area that may be interested in doing something like that. And we were going to use the IBM Content Collector to do that, or there are several other ways we could do it. We haven't gotten close enough to, making a decision to do that, so we haven't figured out exactly how we would until we know that we have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we treat it as our tool set on the professional services side. So, okay. Looking forward, honestly, it would be kind of the engagement that we're in right now. Just with a specific scope of work for that and so forth.
Okay.
It wouldn't be a product that you would purchase. It would just be something that we would bring to bear to help us do the work.
Right. On a project by project basis.
Yep, exactly.
Because and that dovetails well with what we would do, because they're not looking back. Once we get that content out of SharePoint, they would be done with SharePoint. So it would be a project with a very finite scope.
Yep. Yeah, we can definitely help you there. Okay. Anything else? Or, the one thing to keep in mind here is we have extended Unity to quite a few line of business applications. So outside of what we've shown you, there's a couple different ways to think of connectors. We have lack of a better word, we have connectors to like Salesforce, Dynamics. We have some very specific applications that we are connecting to. And there's some banking applications. There's some insurance applications. Some of these sit on top of Salesforce. Some of them are standalone products. We sit on top of Epic for medical records. We can sit there and feed content to those applications. But underneath, for like what you have shared with us, I mean, not only do we have FileNet, SharePoint, the two main ones that you guys are mentioning, we also are partners and have connectors to OpenText product family. Same thing for OnBase. So the idea is that we're partners with most of the ECM providers, and then of course with Dynamics and Salesforce and some of the other ones, we're partners with the companies for the line of business applications. But we're not limited to that. We've had a couple of people ask us about integrating to Oracle, integrating to PeopleSoft, integrating to specific homemade platforms. So we're just not limited when it comes to Unity. It's pretty flexible in what we can extend that usage to.
So based on what Ellis is stating, are there any applications that your users are using today on basically a full-time basis where they find that they have to swivel chair between that application and FileNet to find a document, or SharePoint to find a document, where it would be a lot more efficient if they can just look at the documents directly from that application. Do you have any applications like that that you're using today besides Salesforce?
I mean, that's where Blink came about, right?
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that.
We've got users who are in our medical case management system, which is I think it's still a mainframe, and they use blue screen terminal emulator to view case information in that application. And when they're on a case, we developed an application. We call it Blink. Somebody named it Blink a long time ago, for lack of a more creative name at the time. But when they open up the case on the blue screen, Blink scrapes the screen for the case number and then calls back to FileNet and searches for the document related to that case, and then launches that document in a viewer.
Yeah.
And that application's been around for quite a while. And it's one of those that I sort of feel like if we went around and socialized, we've got one area that typically uses that application. I think if we went and socialized that capability around the organization further, we'd have more people that want to use something like Blink. And I could see where certainly your product is way more feature rich than Blink is. Blink is very simple, but you ask the question, do they need to look in multiple places? And that's where we develop Blink as a time savings, so they don't have to go look up the case in FileNet, open their search template, enter the case number, hit search, review, get the search results, then open up the document.
Exactly. I mean, so exactly. So the scenario here, I'm using Salesforce as an example, but here I just hit my in baskets and I see all my work items related to P&J construction. I didn't have to leave Salesforce in my application, go over to FileNet, put in P&J, find my, go to my work baskets. It's all right here, right for me. So,
yeah. Okay. Is there anything else we can show you, Mike? I mean, we're pretty much. I want to kind of leave it here. I don't want to go. I mean, we can show you tons of stuff, but I think this kind of gives you a good foundation of what Unity is and what we can accomplish.
All right. EDMS team, other thoughts, questions? Now's the time to chime in.
All right. Well, we can share, Mike, after this, I'll send out the recording. It'll probably take a day or two.
Yeah, that's fine.
And we'll get it out and you can share it with anybody that wasn't here. And I will talk with you on Thursday.
Okay. Sounds great. Thanks for doing this, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye now.